Hello all, Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive. Welcome to New Moon Musings for August 2022. Normally, I try to make this a collaboration, but you guys know how it is trying to work with different schedules across different time zones. It's just not working out. So you're getting me this month. And I wanted to just quickly, before we pull cards and go through the new moon spread, wanted to talk a little bit about why I do the new moon spread and how it's different from other readings that I do. So I do regular weekly readings that are general and they tap into the energies of the collective and then what you might be experiencing as a result of the energies that are in the collective. That's my Demystify the Divine. And then the new moon musings is, well, actually I also do a monthly card spread, which is my Phoenix Rising event. And that gives us a more in-depth tapping into the energies of what is coming for the month, so that we can prepare and we kind of have an idea in advance about what might be showing up in our lives so that we can sort of prepare for that. The new moon spread, the new moon musing spread is so helpful because what it does is it breaks it down into every few days. And because it's geared towards the new moon, it's working around the cycles of the moon. The cycles of the moon regulate our own cycles. And so this reading really helps us to get right to the heart of the matter when it comes to our own patterning and cycling. And we understand, okay, here's what's coming in energetically for the collective, and how is that going to affect my particular patterns and cycles that I'm going through? How is that going to affect me as I'm going through my month? Every couple of days there's a shift. Well, if I know in advance what that shift is going to be like, if I know in advance the energy surrounding those few days, it helps me to feel a little more comfortable, to bring a little more clarity to when something comes up in your life and you're like, well, where the hell is this coming from? If you look at the new moon musing spread and you sort of follow it throughout the month, then it really makes a difference and it makes a huge impact as to you understanding a little bit more, having a little more awareness around why certain things are transpiring in your life. And as always, it's so helpful to have that information in advance so that there is more awareness and understanding as things are happening. We don't have to go, oh my God, I feel victimized by the world. It's kind of like, oh, okay, I see that the world is going through its own cycle. Here's the energy that is affecting that cycle, and here's how it's affecting me in my life, sort of macrocosm to microcosm. So I just wanted to sort of share that as we step into the new moon. And of course, we are going to start with our new moon card and we're going to go through the different phases. So there's waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, waning crescent. And then we're also going to do a soul card in the center of that. And I'll explain what each of these are. But it's really important for us to understand that, it's not an exact science. Everything's, flows, and that's typical of a cycle, is that some days flow into other days. But ultimately, that's what we're looking at, and that's what we're dealing with. And I just realized I forgot to pull up my moon. I've got this app called Moon Plus, and it's really helpful because it literally breaks everything down. So I just want to call up so I'm giving you the right new moon dates. So the new moon date for August 2022 is actually July 28th. And that's what you're going to be watching it on July 28th. I'm recording it a couple of days in advance. So what we're going to be dealing with is that new moon energy is going to last pretty much until the end of July, and then the next phase, which is the waxing crescent, is going to start itself very much at the end of July and moving us into August. Sorry, Neo just jumped on the table and shook everything. I'm all shook up. Yes, and I'm doing this outside of my recording studio, so there's going to be cats, there's going to be noises. I'm doing it early in the morning, and my neighbors have 4 children, and the kids are kids, and they like to, talk at decibel 10 and talk at each other to decibel 10. So here we go. So we have chosen, we as in me and my dream team, have chosen the Sirius Starseed deck by Patricia Corey today. And I chose this deck, first of all, because it was just calling to me. I felt an intuition about it. But also I feel like we are stepping into some really interesting planetary energy that is connected to the solar system, that is connected to the greater, I'm going to say the greater wide world out there that flows beyond Earth, right? We are a part of a cosmos. We are a part of a galaxy. And because we are a larger part of that, all of those things play a part in what is happening for us and to us and through us. So I really felt like the Sirian Starseed deck was going to be great energy for that. So our new moon card is, I love it, abundance. And it's a number 3. So in the traditional tarot, this card represents the Empress. And because we're reading it here as abundance, that's exactly how I'm going to read it. So we're starting on, I think I said July 28th. On July 28th, as the new moon transpires here, we are stepping into a space of abundance. So I'm definitely feeling that the first 3 days-ish of this new moon cycle is really going to be focusing on issues that come up for you around abundance. Are you in lack mentality? Are you living in scarcity? Are there things that are coming up for you that are causing you to feel like you're in survival mode, fight, flight, or freeze? And if you are, the message that's coming up here is, wait a second, the universal energy that's coming into the mix is helping you to shift out of that, wants you to focus on gratitude for what is, gratitude for what you have, gratitude for the fact that you've got air in your lungs, that you've got working limbs, that you have the freedom to come and go as you please. We live in a society where everything is around money, and we get the idea or the impression that we're always having to spend money in order to be able to live a life. And there are a lot of things out there that are free. One of them being nature. And if we're talking about patterns and cycles, I feel like this is one of those things where it's like, okay, you want to feel abundance? Go out in nature. Go out in nature. See how many birds are chirping in the sky. See how many berries are growing on the trees. Every blade of grass represents, I want to say, life. And so if you look at just your lawn, how many blades of grass that requires to make up a lawn, that's abundance. So when we can connect energetically, to nature, and we look at our world, from that perspective, we're so abundant. There's so much abundance in and around us and through us, all the way around. So it's shifting the perspective on that. If you're a person who already is very much flowing in that space of abundance, and you're seeing the fruits of your labor, you're seeing that what you're manifesting is coming to pass in your life and in your world, and you're excited about it and you're bringing more. What I'm hearing is the energy for you in this next 3 days is about capitalizing on it, because the energy that is coming through the abundance, the Empress, that I want to say that the fertility, the sexuality, the pleasure, the joy, having all of that, in abundance, it's really making a decision to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen. This is my reality, and I'm going to share it. I'm going to share that with the world. Now, I would say I'm also just hearing, don't necessarily share with the world your unfinished ideas or your unplanned ideas. For whatever reason, I'm getting a hit that this is not the time to be sharing things that have not been, I'm going to say, fully formed. And keep some of those things close to your chest, because those things are going to bring about abundance for you. But there are some individuals, I want to say, in certain people's lives that would be more than happy to take your idea and make it their own. So keep it to yourself, work on the plan. If you've got something that's fully formed and you're ready to share it with the world, share it, because it is about the energy of abundance. It is about creating from that space of abundance, from that feeling of, I have all of my needs met, I'm safe, I'm secure, I have every resource I could possibly need to be able to live in this moment and to enjoy it, to choose to enjoy it. So our waning crescent, and this would be moving us into August. So I'm going to say you're going to start to feel this energy on the 31st, and it's going to move you into August energy. So we're looking at I'm going to say the 1st through about the 3rd. Let's see what our card is and how we're pulling that card. Alchemy. Oh my God, we're pulling all of my favorites from this deck. So I love alchemy. I love alchemy and transmutation. I am the phoenix. I am all about transformation, change, shifting things up. So when I get the alchemy card, it makes me very excited. It makes me very happy. And actually, I'm not even sure what card this is representing. It's not the death card. Actually, I think it's, actually this is the hanged one. In this deck. And sorry, my brain is, because I'm just looking at the number and I'm like, duh, I just kind of read the card intuitively, right? But anyway, alchemy, this few days, sort of from the 1st to the 3rd-ish, 31st into the 3rd, it's all about what can I shift and change to make it work for me. I feel like the energy is going to show up for us on an individual level in terms of really having to review what's coming up, really reviewing what's going on in our lives, and is it working for us? I feel that there is in each of our lives going to be a particular situation, issue, relationship, project that's going to need to be alchemized. And what does alchemy mean? Alchemy means taking lead and turning it into gold, for example, right? It's taking one substance and repurposing it. And you're repurposing it using your own magic, using your own power, using the power of your imagination, using the power of your, I want to say, sort of chemical skills, using, the power of science, kind of a combination of all things. And so I feel like the message that's coming through here is that we're all going to have some kind of change. And I feel like I want to read this not from the global perspective as much as from an individual perspective. During this window of time, that 31st of July until the 3rd of August, what we're going to be dealing with in a big way is shift and change that's coming up in our lives, and something that really does need to be alchemized in order for it to work better for us. This isn't so much, I want to say, what no longer serves, as much as it's the universe is pointing out, hey, you may not have seen this, but there's a better way to do this. There's a better way to achieve your goal, or there's a better way to get where it is that you want to be. And I feel like that's the energy of this card. Also, I want to say to you, in this particular week, or period of days, sorry, not week, period of days, I would recommend scheduling some kind of burning ceremony, or something with fire. Maybe you're just lighting a candle on an altar. Maybe you decide that you're going to light candles throughout the house for a couple of days. If you're an angel person, maybe you're hosting the angels, and one of the things that you do is you light a candle to invite one of the angels in. If you're an energy person, fire creates energy. It's the combination of the earth element, substance, material, and wind, right? Air coming in, oxygenating the fire, and that's how we get the flame, and then it produces the heat. So heat is good. Heat shapes, morphs. If we think about heat on metal, it can reform metal. And so again, talking about the alchemy, shifting one form into another form. So we're all going to be dealing with this. We're all going to be experiencing this during these 3 days. So I'm going to say it's not if, it's when. So now you have the opportunity to say, okay, how do I choose to step into that alchemy? How do I choose to actively make this shift and this change? Understanding that, okay, the universe has shown it to me. I might not have expected it to be this, but if I understand, it's happening for my highest and best. It's happening because it's the best thing that could happen for me right now, because what's going to be alchemized is going to be even better than what is currently in existence. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind. All right, we've got our first quarter moon, and let's see what the card is for the first quarter moon. I'm feeling some heaviness with the first quarter that can be lifted. And perhaps after you've done a lot of that alchemy energy, that's kind of what is transpiring, is that there's residual, and you just need to kind of clear out or burn away the residual. So first quarter moon, we are looking at the third through, actually we're looking at first quarter moon actually hits us right on the fifth, it says. So we're moving in to this energy, sort of the third to the fifth. Sixth is the first quarter moon energy, seventh. So we're moving into that. And like I said, it's not an exact science. So even though I'm looking at this calendar, we can find that we're running into different aspects, and it changes the flow. So it might be 3 days, it might be 4 days. So you want to just kind of be in the flow and the energy of it, and they blend together. So if we're moving through alchemy, the next phase for us, the first quarter moon, is the adept of chalices. An adept or adept is the Knight of Cups. And Knight of Cups is a beautiful energy. This is the knight in white shining armor. This is the, I am open to love. I am excited about the quest that I am on to really connect with my emotions. I am very much in an action-oriented state. I am willing to put my money where my mouth is. I am passionate about my explorations. So I'm definitely feeling for us in this particular period of time, when we're talking about the energies that are happening with the first quarter, I'm definitely feeling that this is the approach we want to take. And when I was saying I feel some heaviness that is going to be shifted, transmuted, the ocean of emotion is definitely going to do it. So fire and water can transmute anything. I always, because again, I'm the Phoenix, I always prefer fire because I love to watch something burn and it's purified and cleansed. Water does the same thing. If you think about it, we're all jumping in the bath or the shower and we're cleansing the body. We're removing energetically as well as physically, dust and dirt, grunt and grime. And one of the things that's coming to my mind is I feel like this particular few days, we're being invited to write some things out. Either it's writing out a plan, physically writing out a plan, we're writing out our thoughts, journaling, we're writing out our ideas, we're writing out our emotions around what it is that we are looking forward to embracing from, I want to say, a love perspective, the frequency of love perspective. And when you're writing it down, and I feel like this is not typing it out on the computer and then, sort of printing it off, this is physically writing it out, because then what you want to do is you want to take some water. And if you have some rainwater, even better, because it's out in nature and all of those things. But, tap water will do just fine. I would, maybe just say a little incantation over it, a little blessing, just to connect with the water, to say thank you for what it's providing. And then you want to put that paper in there and you want to rub off all that ink. You want to watch that ink dissipate from the paper. It's a visceral, physical experience to cleansing yourself, cleansing whatever it is that, when we are talking about alchemy and alchemizing things, we are talking that things are transmuting, and sometimes that process is messy. It's like cooking. If you don't clean as you go, you're going to have a big pile of stuff. The food is delicious. It's so worth it, but you are going to have a little bit of a mess that you're going to have to clean up, right? So the adept of chalices is coming through today, or Knight of Cups is coming through to say, all right, you've done the alchemy, and now it's time for us to clean things up. It's time for us to clean things up so that we can really embrace the love frequency that's been created through the alchemy process. We've decided to shift and transmute. And we're doing this all because we are coming from an abundant space. That's how we're starting this new moon cycle. So there's a lot of abundance. How do we get the abundance? We get the abundance through alchemizing what is in need of a shift or a change, to better it, to tweak it. And then we can take the journey of saying, all right, I got what I need now. Let's activate it. Let's move forward, and let me be the frequency of love that is coming in at this time. And I can take advantage of that. All right, we've got our waxing gibbous. And waxing gibbous, I'm going to say, we're looking at, I'm going to say you're going to start to feel this energy, the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere around there, 6th, 7th, 8th. It's all sort of in that energy space. And let's see. Oh, this is the one. Sage of Crystals. So the sage in this deck is the queen. And Queen of Crystals, Queen of Pentacles. This is one of my favorite cards because ironically it also is very close in its energy to the Empress. And in this deck, abundance, they're representing it a little bit differently, and you can see that the energy of the cards is very different, especially even the colors that it's being represented. But typically in the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, it is very synonymous with the energy of the Empress. So the fact that we started with sort of that Empress energy, that abundance energy, and now we're moving into the cycle with that, I feel that it's saying, okay, you've done some of this alchemy, you're working on this in your life, you're working on where things are happening, where things are going. Let's do a recap of why we're doing what we're doing. Let's recap to, okay, we are working on the abundance and how are these changes happening to bring that abundance to life. Sage of Crystals is very much an energy of somebody who feels really confident in their knowing, confident in their resource. These are the individuals in our lives and possibly who we are that say, you know what? The universe has got my front, back, sides, bottom, and top. I don't have to worry about these things. And my goal, my purpose is to help others to succeed in their goals. And I know I can do that because I know how to manifest for myself, and I can help others to manifest as well. So Sage of Crystals is coming up in this waxing gibbous time to be able to say, hey, there's still some energy that we can focus to be able to, I want to say, get us up the hill. To help people up the hill. And I'm talking about this right now from I'm going to say from a global perspective, that collectively there is kind of a hill that we are climbing, but I'm also feeling on an individual level that there's going to be this impetus that, okay, the rest of the world is working on climbing up the hill, and I'm feeling that. So what can I contribute? Because I have all of my needs met. I have resources here that I'm not even aware of that I have. There is abundance in my space. So let me look around and see what I can repurpose. Let me look around and see what kind of energy I have inside me at this time to be able to contribute to that so that I'm also growing and walking up the hill or running up the hill or crawling up the hill, if that's kind of where you're at. What can I add to the mix in my own life to just give me that little extra nudge? Because I know that that nudge is going to be rewarded in essence. I'm going to see the fruits of my labor with that. Also, I'm just going to take a quick minute to explain these phases and these cycles. So when we start with the new moon and we're through the waxing, because we're about to get to our full moon card, as we're going into that waxing energy, whether it's the waxing crescent or the waxing gibbous, there is an impetus within the cycle that things are happening. Things are moving. We are moving forward. We are active. We're doing things. We are in the process of whatever our plan is, whatever our direction is, there's action involved in it. The full moon is the culmination of that. And then when we hit the waning energy, it's kind of like, okay, it's now time to take a pause. It's time to reflect. It doesn't mean you have to stop entirely with things that are moving and flowing. It's just understanding that cyclically in our bodies need a little bit of a break. It's a waxing and a waning. It's the ebb and the flow from an energetic perspective. So it's understanding that as we're going into the waning, that simply means that the body is saying, okay, don't work so hard. Maybe this isn't about tons of action, doing. Maybe this is about reflection and then taking one step at a time until you're wrapping things up. So we are coming into that process. And as I've said, we've got the abundance, the alchemy, the adaptive chalices, and now the Sage of Crystals. There's a real natural flow to this particular cycle. Oh, and we've got our full moon card. Seeker of Flames. Okay, I love Seeker of Flames. Seeker is the page, and Flames, of course, is Wands. So we're talking about the Page of Wands. Seeker of Flames energy is amazing because flame energy, fire, passion, spirit, our purpose in life, what gets us out of bed in the morning, what gets us excited about life. It's really important, I'm feeling in the full moon energy, to understand that there is going to be a collective energy of seeking a new way of doing things, seeking a new way of being seen and heard. And on an individual level, as we're dealing with this full moon energy, and by the way, the full moon is coming up on the 11th of August, and I find that really fascinating. Number 11, of course. I'm feeling very much that it is on an individual level really kind of looking at, okay, if I've already done this review of where things are at and what I want to contribute and how I want to move forward, this is kind of like that inspired action. And it's funny that I was just sharing with you that we are still in that action energy. So this is inspired action from a new perspective, from a new way, a new approach is what I'm hearing. And I'm going to say to you on an individual level, this is a great time to take some risks. They can be calculated risks. They can be inspired risks, but take the risk because you're at the beginning of this, this height. This is palpable potential in energy that you can tap into. This is going to be a great time to, I want to say, start something new, to start a new approach, perhaps to something that's been around for a while. Oh, we've got Mr. Neo, so cat butt in the face. It's a great time to start a new approach because the energy is going to support it. Now, I'm going to say, because we are getting ready to move into that waning phase, you may have a big inspiration and say, oh yeah, I'm ready to move forward with that. This feels good. I'm ready to go. And then you might find that you sit on it for the next few days. And you're like, okay, it was such a big, powerful idea, but now I don't feel the motivation to move forward. Let the cake bake. There's something cooking. This is about new approach. And in a new approach, sometimes it's not that you're guns blazing, firing on all thrusters. Sometimes it's, okay, I have a great idea. How do I actually make that ideal come to life? What's the best way to enact that energy? So a great card for all of us, I'm going to say, for full moon energy, because it is the culmination of this first aspect of the cycle. And I also want to talk about individual patterns and cycles. Seeker of Flames, this also on the full moon, is a perfect time for you to break out of patterns and cycles that are no longer serving you. So, maybe it's COVID weight, that you're finally ready to just get the COVID weight off. Maybe it's that you're wanting to expand your friendship circle. Maybe it's that you're wanting to improve some of the relationships that are going on in your life. This is a great time to get this stuff started. And the full moon energy this month is really going to support that. I also want to just take a quick moment to mention that we have the 8-8 portal on the 8th of August. And this is the Lion's Gate portal. And I should have mentioned this with the Sage of Crystals as well, because it's kind of coming into that energy with the Sage of Crystals. The Lion's Gate portal is really exciting. It's connected to Leo. It's connected to being out in the world, being seen, being heard, being acknowledged and recognized for what it is that you contribute. And there's a lot of supportive energy around abundance, around your strengths, or strengths, what your skill set is, bringing people together, really connecting with that service energy. And when we're looking at that from the Sage of Crystals perspective, again, she's got all of her needs met. Everything is good to go. So she has no problem shining her light. But she also doesn't need to shine her light in order to feel that she's successful. And I feel like that's an important message for all of us with the Lion's Gate portal, is understanding that maybe let go of the how things are sort of coming to pass, or that acknowledgement. Allow it to flow to you naturally and just get out there and do what you do best. Get out there and shine your light. I feel like anything that you do during this Lionsgate portal, which I believe lasts about 3 weeks, but I could be wrong on that. It's going to come to fruition. It's going to be successful. So trust in that and shine your light. Okay, now we're moving into the waning gibbous. So the waning gibbous we're looking at now coming through about the 15th-ish, 14th, 15th, 16th energy of August. And we have transition. And transition, of course, is the death card in the traditional tarot. And so one of my favorite cards, of course, connected to Phoenix. It's the Phoenix burning. It's the coming to the awareness and understanding that something has to go away. Something has to die. Something has to conclude or be resolved in order for this new approach to be able to take place and to shine its light and to become its full potential. So we are moving into a space of, what needs to go? And I'm going to say to you from an individual perspective, give yourself the opportunity when you're releasing this to not focus on what you're losing. I feel like I want to talk a little bit about grief. We've all been in a real energy of grief, definitely over the last couple of years. And then on sort of on an individual level, I'm seeing it in clients all the time. I see it in my own life that we're having to transition out of what we, the idea of our lives was shattered, right? Like everything that we stood for, we knew we could count on, has gone out the window. And yet we're here. Anyone who's watching this video, we're here. We're survivors and we're going to learn to thrive. So I feel like the challenge for us during this particular window of time is to recognize that the transition needs to happen in order for this new approach to come into the mix. And we want the new approach. We want the new. We're looking for that excitement. So don't see this transition as something that you need to mourn. See this transition as coming through and how exciting it is that this is falling away so that I have the opportunity to create something new and different, something more exciting, something more in alignment with a new path, a new direction. So I'm feeling like in our individual lives, there's this real energy of understanding I need to put to bed some of these patterns and cycles, some of the ways I've been living, in order to be able to fully embrace these wonderful ideas that I have regarding the highest and best version of my life that I can possibly imagine. We are in an energy where we get to create that. And it is us having to create it. We have to create it. We have to choose it. We have to commit to it. And I feel like that's what the death card or the transition card is coming up to say, hey, you don't necessarily have to mourn everything that goes out of your life. If you really need to mourn it, mourn it. But mourn it understanding that I don't want to get sucked into that energy of mourning. I want to really focus on what this is going to bring me. It's all opportunity. And it's that important opportunity that is really going to help me to advance in my career, advance in my personal life, advance in my relationships, advance in loving myself and knowing who I am, advancing in understanding what I need from a life partner, and being able to live that so that I attract it. It's huge. And this is what's going to be transpiring during this waning gibbous. So now we're tapping into the last quarter, and the last quarter moon is happening on the 19th. So we're going to be feeling into this sort of 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, maybe even a little bit into the 22nd. So lots of energy. With last quarter, I'm feeling movement. I'm feeling flow. I'm feeling a stirring of things. So you may be stirred up. You may be highly motivated to move forward. Let's see what the card is. Oh, I love it. Higher self. So higher self isn't necessarily a card of movement and stirring things up. What it is it's a card of intuition. And it's a card of intuition not from, I want to say, from a bit of a detached perspective. So when I talk about sort of the ocean of emotion and the I'm going to say the more physical intuition that comes through, or the spidey senses that come through the physical body, this is more connected to our emotions, connected to our emotional state. The higher self is what we're receiving through the third eye. We're just simply receiving it. We don't judge it. We just have to pass it on. This is what we've received. This is what we're seeing. This is what we're hearing. And so, here we are. This is what we're looking at. This is what we're doing. So I feel like the energy here, especially after a transition, is giving yourself permission to say, okay, I have taken the risk and I've embraced this transition without choosing the mourning process. And instead, I'm celebrating the transition. I'm going with it. I'm in flow with it, understanding it's going to bring me much better than what I could have even imagined. And now I'm going to trust my intuition. I'm going to receive. And what I keep hearing is on an individual level during this particular period of time. And I think it's really significant that we're stepping into the 2021-22, which is tied into the year of 2022. And that two energy, duality, pairing, partnerships, union. We're stepping into that right now because I feel like all of us on an individual level are going to be receiving a ton of downloads. And so for those of you watching this and you say, what is a download? This could be all of a sudden you randomly get ringing in the ears and you think, what is going on? You're receiving a download. You're receiving information that you may not be able to interpret now, but it's kind of like we're computers, right? So you're uploading a program that you're going to be able to use later, but you don't want to take the time to have to upload it then. You want to be able to dive in when you're ready, but you're not quite ready right now. There's also the energy of downloads, receiving information for others that you're going to be sharing and passing on without judgment, without, I want to say, emotional attachment to the message. You're simply passing on what you're receiving. And I feel like that's a huge thing to consider during this particular phase, because we are all going to be able to help one another. And, this is something that happens a lot for me. I have a lot of people who are always surprised when they find out that on occasion I will go for my own psychic reading. Well, why do you need to go for a reading? You're psychic. Well, we are all here for our own soul paths, and sometimes we're too close to our own stories and our own lessons. I'm here to learn my own stuff as well as to provide guidance to other individuals that help their lives. The same can be said for me, that I might be too close to it, that I just don't see it in the same way, or I'm seeking a bit of validation for what my intuition is telling me. It's the same thing that I do for others. So I feel like the messaging and the energy of this particular phase, which is the waning gibbous, last quarter, my bad, last quarter, stepping into this last quarter energy, you're receiving something, take the chance to share it with somebody else. Now, you don't have to go into great detail. You can just talk about a feeling. I got a feeling of this. I got a sense of this. If you're really confident in your vision and you understand that there's a right way to approach information, there's a right way to share information, we need to be responsible for how we deliver a message to make sure that it's not causing harm, that it is appropriate to share. If you are in that space and you understand what that means and you're clear on what you saw, share it. Share it. Just take the time to make sure that you're actively paying attention to how you're delivering the message and how that message quite possibly can be received. So I just want to put that out there. If you're getting something, and this is another thing, we get dreams a lot, and people die in dreams all the time, and it can be prophetic. The energy of the dream can be prophetic in nature, but as we know, death and dying might not actually be death and dying. It can be the transition from one phase to another. So please don't be telling your best friend, oh my God, you're going to die in 3 days, because that's not what the message is. So just want to be clear on that. So that is our last quarter. And now we're moving into our waning crescent. And the waning crescent is going to hit us around the 23 mark. And we're going to be dealing with the waning crescent. It's kind of shifting in on the 23rd and following all the way through until our new moon, the next new moon on the 27th of August. So that's the energy, the time period of the energy that we're looking at. And the waning crescent, what I'm hearing is, especially given how the spread has sort of turned out, and we're talking about abundance and how we have been creating that abundance, laying foundation for that abundance. We're just coming off of this higher self card, which of course is intuition. Have you been listening to your intuition? Have you been passing on those downloads or receiving those downloads and understanding them? Now we're moving into the Sage of Flames. So it is our second Sage card, which is Queen, and this is Queen of Wands, Queen of Flames. And it's interesting because we have Seeker of Flames, we have Sage of Crystals, and you'll see it in, when I do post-edit here, you'll see the spread that the Sage of Crystals and the Sage of Flames are diagonal to one another. They're kitty corner. That's significant because they are reflecting each other's energy. And so the work that you do with that Sage of Crystals, okay, I've got my resources and I'm here to help others. Now the Sage of Flames comes in to say, and I am the master or mistress of my my psychic realm. I feel into my information. I receive my psychic guidance and information, and I'm confident in what it provides and what it presents. There's also an energy of Leo in this card, and I think that's really interesting that it's wrapping up the Leo time period of the month as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. Sage of Flames, it's really embracing your psychic gifts, your psychic abilities. It's sort of the witchy card energy. It's the doing things not necessarily by rote. It's really following what you're receiving. And it may not look the way that people will tell you it needs to look, but it works because you're trusting your intuition and you're passionate about what you're doing. You're very, very passionate about what you're doing. And what you're doing has some structure. It has some ritual. It has some routine to it. And if we are talking about the patterns and cycles of the new moon, this is helping you this month to understand, okay, I've examined and evaluated where some of these patterns and cycles are affecting me, either positively or negatively. And I'm going to step into this energy and I'm simply going to say, all right, I'm doing it in the way that I feel called to do it, but I'm definitely on top of my game. I definitely have a plan and I am enacting the plan to be able to release myself from the chains or the bonds of, or the burdens of patterns that are no longer serving. And I am creating new patterns. I am stepping in and I'm saying, okay, what was it that I had to release? Great, I've got space now to be able to put something new in. And I want to say, kind of along the lines of the card that I got about taking risks, which I think was the Seeker of Flames, that risk that you took is going to start to pay off in these next few days. You're going to start to see really that, oh, that risk wasn't actually such a big risk at all. In fact, I'm feeling the energy of it, and maybe I didn't take a big enough risk. Maybe now I can, step it up a notch. I can take it up a level because I'm seeing that, oh yeah, this is going to happen. It is going to transpire. And so maybe I want to tweak the vision to be able to go even bigger because now I know that it's actually going to happen. I know that it's going to become my reality, and I'm excited about that. This particular depiction, she's got a bunch of different arms, and it makes me think of Kuan Yin. There's a legend of Kuan Yin, and it might even be like a green Tara or something. Forgive me, I'm not an expert at exactly what all that looks like. But having the many hands, which is kind of like the many ways that we can tap into knowledge, and do that from an intuitive perspective, that we don't necessarily need to go to school to learn what we need to learn. We simply need to center ourselves, feel into the soul flame energy, tap into that Akashic Records, aspect of you or the higher self, and say, here's information that I need to know, bring it on. And you will receive downloads as a result of it. So these downloads that you have received will start to come to fruition, and you're going to feel more trust in being able to take the risk to enact them. And you're going to discover that it's not so much of a risk at all because it is coming to fruition. And you have many hands to be able to actually enact what is coming through. So you're going to have help. You're going to have support. You're not going through it alone. Really cool this month. Okay. I forgot to say, if you like what you see here, feel free to like, subscribe, and click the bell on the YouTube. I appreciate all of the support for that, really trying to grow this channel so that I can reach as many people with all of this fun information as possible. So your help in doing that is really appreciated. All right, our soul card. I love this. So let me just explain what the soul card is. The soul card is sort of the culmination as well as the underlying energy that permeates or travels with us through this particular cycle. And I would say the soul card is also reflective of the collective cycle that we are in, as well as on an individual level. It's tapping into a particular area of your pattern and cycle that you want to take a look at, that needs to be in focus while you are moving through sort of the cycle that is representing your day-to-day life. So we started off with abundance. We started off with the Empress card, and the soul card today is the Sage of Orbs. And I kid you not, when you look at the picture in post-edit, we have 3 sages all diagonally in a row. So Queen energy is really coming through. And let me just talk about the Queen energy in tarot for a second. It's delegation, order, and structure. It is understanding and knowing your sovereignty, understanding and knowing your birthright, and saying, I don't really much care whether you like it or not. I feel, I know, I sense, I've received the divine guidance that tells me exactly what the right path is for me here, or for us here, for the collective. And so when we're talking about Sage of Orbs, Orbs is swords. Orbs is air, it's mental energy, it's intelligence, it's also intuition. And it's very similar to that higher self card. It's the intuition that is somewhat detached emotionally. It's the first process. I receive it in my mental space, and then I feel it in order to enact it and bring it into the world. This card is a card of confidence. This card is a card of boundaries. This card is a card of sovereignty. So what you want to understand underlying all of this new moon cycle is that you have this energy supporting you. From a soul perspective, you have the right to put boundaries around your time and your energy. You have right to bring a little more structure in the ways that you need that structure, because clearly you're dealing with the material world. You're dealing with abundance, you're dealing with love, you're dealing with healing and health of others. You're also dealing with your passion, your soul flame, soul fire energy. What am I here to do on this earth? It doesn't quite matter what others are here to do on this earth. I mean, it's great that they're doing it. I need to focus on mine, and that might mean that I have to put some boundaries around what that looks like, because others may be so intent on bringing their own energy and their own mission to life that they might trample on mine. And in order for me to be in a place of abundance and to create and co-create the new that's coming into the mix, and to be able to risk, it means that I got to set myself up for success. And sometimes that means I don't involve others. Sometimes that means I involve others in a strategic way to be able to get the plan going. Sometimes that means I have to say, not today, maybe tomorrow. And I feel like that is what you can sort of consider as you're moving through this, this cycle, is where do I need to be a little more boundaried? Where are my boundaries not being respected? And I have the right to be here. I have the right to take up space. I have the right to breathe the air that I breathe. I have the right to bring my passions and my vision and my purpose to the world. I don't have the right to step on anyone else's path and purpose, but I do have the right to bring mine. And so how do I do that? I do that through my sovereign energy. I do that through connection to source, connection to my soul essence, and allow that intuition to guide my path. And I am not fearful of what I am releasing, because I know that what I'm releasing is really because there's something that's going to help me get to where it is that I need to go a lot quicker, a lot more smoothly, and with a lot more success and a lot more abundance. And that's our new moon reading for August 22. Thank you so much, guys, so much for tuning in. Love doing these. And I hope that the explanation today was helpful. This is something that you can absolutely come back to throughout the month to sort of check out, okay, well, this is the energy of where I'm at today. This is the card that we're in, for the next few days. How do I want to apply that to what is transitioning or what is showing up in my life? How can this help me? That's what this spread is all about. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check out my website, theblackfeatherintuitive.com. If you want to connect, I do readings, 30 and 60-minute readings. I do guidance on the go readings. These are all sessions that really help you get to the heart of the matter and to be able to rise into your magic and your sovereignty, because that's what it's about this month, is our sovereignty. So own that, own your birthright, and we will see you on the flip side. Take care.